Hi guys, welcome to this week's AMA. I believe that if we're going to continue, and I believe that Herman will be able to join us at some point and give the core update. But at the same time, I think he's quite busy with the partner meeting. So if he can't join, then I'll make sure that we have the core update delivered to you in our Telegram chat at some point in the next couple of hours. In the meantime, we've plenty to talk about. I'll proceed with giving an update regarding the business activities of Cherry and the Cherry ecosystem in the past week or so. So I believe that John, our Master of Ceremonies, has already added the slide deck that we have prepared to the stream. Is it visible now? Okay, and with regards to the Telegram stream, is that live yet? That's live. Perfect. Great job, guys. Okay, so in case anyone in the Telegram didn't hear us, I'm just going to proceed with our business update. I think at some point Herman will drop in and give us the Cherry Core development update, but I think he's kind of busy at the moment with a chat with some of our partners. So if he can't join, he'll share his insights and updates over the course of the next couple of hours within our Telegram chat by text. Okay, so of course we have Diego and John here, and we have the quiz to follow at the end as well, as always. So with regards to the business side of Cherry, had a busy enough week. As I mentioned last week, we are expanding on the top level with a continued and consistent push from the Cherry Labs perspective. As you guys know, Cherry Labs is the incubator in the ecosystem which manages at a high level the development of all of our constituent projects, such as Cherry, of course, most notably, and then also the other ecosystem projects that we've discussed in depth, such as Cherish and Seedling, and the others that we've discussed as well in previous calls. There's been a few questions. Some people were keen and curious to know about some of the ecosystem projects that are being unfolded at the moment. I was hoping that Herman could give a more detailed explanation as to what's going on there and give you some insights about that. I think that he will be able to join us at some point. If he can't, then we'll address that point, as I said, by text. But to give a brief overview and introduction to what Herman might say, at the moment, strategically, Cherry is in a position to promote and push forward the projects that are building on the Cherry stack, which is the lifeblood of any successful ecosystem. Is not just the core infrastructure itself, but who's actually using it, because that's really where the business value is derived from. With regards to this, we're trying to make our the information available on this to be more accessible and digestible for you, the community, and for our business and investment community. And what that will involve is today we had discussions with regards to the very AMA itself and how we might do that in future. And I think, and I proposed, and I'm pretty sure we might go with this, is, and I have to confirm this again with Herman, but I think it's probably the route we'll take is that we'll have the strategic position that Cherry is in is very ecosystem focused at the moment, because now that most of the hard work in terms of building has been completed, and those choppy waters have been navigated quite well by our developers, in terms of building a very robust, interoperable, and accessible set of tools to build on Cherry, along with the forthcoming EVM compatibility and IPFS integration, which we'll hopefully hear about more today or maybe next AMA, which the devs discussed in recent calls. Now the focus, to a certain extent, shifts towards our ecosystem and promoting and managing the suite of projects that are building on Cherry. So it was quite pertinent that we saw a lot of questions about this in the past 48 hours or so from the community, because it is indeed our focus at the moment. In terms of disseminating information and increasing the transparency of how we do this and how it's progressing, we're going to take a couple of steps to make that very tangible for our stakeholders, such as yourselves. As I was just alluding to, what we're going to do probably is shift the focus of the AMAs towards the ecosystem. Given the fact that most of the more exploratory and kind of rapid fire development that has already been completed, as you guys know, with the launches of testnet and mainnet, etc., staking, all of these things. From a core development perspective, it takes more of a long-term view or a medium-term view, which means that the updates that we'll be providing in terms of the core development will be a little bit less frequent. And that, coupled with the shift towards ecosystem focus, means that it's probably more a wiser use of time to give you guys a bi-weekly core development update AMA and a bi-weekly or every other weekly update on a specific ecosystem project. So what we intend to do in this regard is have 1 week we'll chat to Herman and the devs about what's going on with the core development effort, and then the next week we'll choose one of our ecosystem projects to highlight in an ecosystem AMA at the same time on a Wednesday, in which I will interview and discuss and kind of give a platform to the people involved in those projects to go into more depth as to how their progress is unfolding and the kind of things that they're looking forward to bringing to market in the near future. I think this will be exciting for the community because we'll be able to give more granular detail about how these projects are developing, and it will also free up time for the developers on the core Cherry effort to look at making their progress known in a less frequent way, which means that they can focus more on the quality of what they disclose. Alongside this, as discussed with you guys in the community, we're going to set up a ecosystem tracking initiative, similar to our roadmap, but it will just describe in a non-exhaustive list most of hopefully the projects that are building with the Cherry stack. So both of these initiatives, which will be rolled out over December, hopefully the ecosystem tracker will be in a matter of a couple of weeks or maybe even days. We'll see how we get on with that workload, and we'll visualize this in quite a nice, accessible and digestible way, and you guys can really get a view of how things are progressing behind the scenes. And because, as I said before, this is really the most important aspect of an ecosystem is the entities within the ecosystem rather than the infrastructure of the ecosystem itself. So that's progressing quite well, and I'm glad to be able to share with you the shift in focus to our expansion and all the hard work that we've put in and the fruits of that effort and how it's developing with all of these very interesting and very capable and driven teams that we get to work with on a daily basis. Alongside this is something that I discussed last week, which we will kind of formalize and disseminate among the community in the coming days. This is our Cherry Labs consulting project. This has been taken off even better than expected over the last 2 weeks. Myself, Herman, Lupiter, and of course Diego are taking the front seat with this. And we've had some very interesting discussions with a lot of cool projects, including one today, which is an incubator for one of the other major blockchain incubators in this space. And we're looking to partner with them to give them access on an ongoing basis to the expertise that is contained in the Cherry team and all the competences and resources that we have, and the partnerships that we have with some of the very excellent service providers that we've gotten to know and work with in the past while. So consulting is going very well. So far, we've had a lot of good calls. This is something that may not be as immediately visibly valuable to the community, because it seems it's not as visible to you guys. But it's great that we have from a financial perspective, it's very important to be able to generate revenue as we go along before the platform is in full flourish. So that's good for you guys to hear. I think that we are going to be bringing in revenues through this initiative as we go along. And furthermore, it's of course strategically relevant to the Cherry ecosystem, in that the more of these companies that we consult with, the more we can bring into the sphere of influence, so to speak, of the Cherry ecosystem. So that's been going very well, and something that's been very encouraging. As I mentioned before, Cherry Labs itself, as an incubator and as a venture studio, is ramping up our go-to-market, essentially, in that everything before this has been more or less behind closed doors. Now we need to have more of a public-facing image and presence online and in the business sphere that motivates people to come to us to look for incubation assistance, to look for investment, and to look for partnership. So we will have and I know this is something that a lot of people in our community are looking to build with, and alongside some sort of relationship with Cherry Labs as an incubator, as a venture fund. So we're going to have a more formalized and structured application process and set of documentation that you guys can look at if you're looking to build with us and looking to work with us and looking to kind of start your project in the Cherry ecosystem. So that'll be quite exciting from a strategic perspective, and also for you guys to see exactly how we're approaching the incubation aspect of the Cherry network, which is very important. As you guys know, this project's like Solana. When we were in Lisbon, we saw all the really, really impressive efforts that the Solana team and organization have made to really interest as many people as possible in building on Solana. And hats off to them. They've done a great job. We're looking for best practices in this space, and we're going to try and do the same thing. So maybe someday some of you guys will join us for a Cherry Network hacker house kind of thing. That would be fun. So the final point for my business update is the increased marketing drive for the projects in our ecosystem. And what this will involve is primarily projects like Cherish, and projects like I've forgotten the name of the Original Factory, for example, which will get its first publicization in the next few days, as well as a couple more over the next week. I think we're going to start seeing the fruits of our labor in terms of that, and we're going to go public with some, or we're going to ramp up the amount of publicity for others, such as Cherish, in the coming couple of weeks. Marv will tell us more about that in a few moments. I think what we're going to do next is, unless Herman jumps in, we're going to go to Diego, and Diego can give us a bit of an update in terms of how things are going at Seedling. Are you there, Diego?
Yeah. Hello, guys. It's always happy to be here. Another Wednesday, sharing with you guys the news and the updates of the last couple of days. I will first focus on the project as usual. On Monday, I had a look at Foxtrot Command's first live showing pre-alpha MVP, basically, and got some time to look into the game and see how it's looking, etc. And from the development side, it looks awesome. So yeah, I know they have now made available a couple of new things, and they opened their Discord and are adding their roles for investors, etc. And it will be available to play for the first tournaments and understand the mechanics and understand the whole sustainable game economy and why it's interesting. We still have to have a couple of meetings regarding the launch and the marketing strategy behind the launch on Seedling, and trying to create some exposure to Seedling external to our community. Since I do know they have a couple of influencers involved, and they will be looking into the promotion of our launchpad. We've been recently reviewing a lot of projects. Actually, I have to say that we are having some trouble and struggling to find very good options right now, and we don't want to list something that the community is not happy with, or where we would personally not see it as an interesting contribution to the space. So that's the first point. The second point would be going on the consulting side. We have engaged, as Owen mentioned, and been working a lot and placed a lot of time on this initiative. I am personally very happy of how it's looking. We have already thought about the whole system and service features, already got and created our first leads, as Owen mentioned. This is going to be a B2B service, so yeah, it's going to be less visible from the community side, but it is essentially a very good thing to establish our presence on the business side. Which brings me to you guys, all of you guys that are looking to become entrepreneurs in this sector, have a good idea, have a good project in mind, or even better, also something that is already developed and wants to change from Web 2 to Web 3. Or know of people that could benefit from the Cherry's team expertise or Cherry Labs, feel free to let us know on a personal note. We will make sure to evaluate every single Cherry member's ideas or projects. Again, this is a chance for many of you to receive support in many areas from a team of experts in their domains, going from our core team in Cherry, who has successfully launched a high technological product, to other members that work on the ecosystem and might be less exposed to the community, that are also experts in their area and entrepreneurs themselves in many cases, and have the experience of already creating businesses in this sector. And lastly, from the marketing perspective, been analyzing and looking on the on-chain and off-chain data. It is maybe not the best time for us to push for a big, huge campaign on the pre-sale side. So for launchpads in the space, as you can all probably tell, most launchpads are quiet and inactive right now, and they're trying to remain alive. We, on the other hand, are constantly deploying resources on the building of initiatives and added value things to Seedling. We have seen how many projects are already soon bankrupt, and what looked like great companies were they were spending loads of money on marketing and doing things the wrong way and promoting things the wrong way with huge monthly burn rates. On the other hand, we are focusing on real value. By no means, this means we will refrain from doing marketing efforts, but we will focus on more organic ways of growing, project marketing, promotion, which is the most effective way, I believe, and maybe looking at preparing campaigns and working on correct strategical moments to make the best out of these efforts. That is pretty much all from my side, Owen.
Thank you very much, Diego. Yeah, very interesting things going on there. With Seedling, we'll also we've been working and a little bit delayed, but we've been working on the push for a slight repositioning and expansion of the mission of Seedling. So we're going to be working on that this evening, and hopefully we'll have something to show you guys tomorrow afternoon, I would say. With that, before we move to Marv, I'm going to quickly run through some of the questions that we've received over the past couple of days. So I just got one from deleted account Johnny Bravo PFP when web update. If you're referring to the website refresh that we're planning to roll out, then I think I would hope that would be done next week, hopefully. Aside from that, there was another question that I was DM'd about Cherry Labs University, which is going quite well. On Friday, possibly tomorrow, but I would say Friday to be safe, we will have a rollout of the next courses for Cherry Labs University, and we're going to do a marketing push with that as well, because it's good to give back to the community, and to be honest, it also makes us look good because we get to show the expertise that we have built up over years of working in crypto. And there was another question. There were questions yesterday with regards to the ecosystems, so I'm going to have a look at that now. Okay, so first question from our very long-standing and valued community member, Real Tulip Coin. When will you release a white paper? Well, we have a light paper which is longer and more in-depth than the vast majority of white papers out there. The reason we haven't called it a white paper per se is so that it leaves us with more room in the near future to expand on it. And I think that when we have all of the tooling in place, we might update and make some small changes and then relabel it as our white paper. But I'm just going to drop in the chat right now in response to your question the link to our light paper, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, I would have personally called it a white paper, but it's pretty comprehensive in its description of the mission and the whole purpose and the mechanisms behind how the Cherry network works and the governance thereof, etc. So you can see that there. And that's actually, we updated it several times. So it's the third version of our light paper. Will there be an audit? We've actually, so the audit is actually completed. We've had one audit done, which we will talk about in the future. But at the moment, given the level of transparency in our code and in our code base, and it's been stress tested by a lot of developers, paying for a very large audit, especially in this juncture of the development effort, doesn't really make sense. But we will look at publishing the results, the very positive, to be honest, results of our previous audit within the next few weeks, I believe. When are we going to see a partnership? Well, the partnership that we've already established is, as we mentioned before, I won't go into the details of who it is, but everybody knows who it is. It's just a question of us ironing out some of the details and then announcing it, but we're already working with these people and have been for quite a while. So we'll update the community on that as soon as it makes sense to do so. Otherwise, we have some smaller partnerships with a lot of interesting projects coming up pretty soon. As I said, in keeping with the increased shift of focus to our ecosystem projects and stimulating growth in the ecosystem, and through our partnerships as well. So again, over the next month, you'll start to see more discussion of that, and we can reveal some of the things that have already been set up already. How many dApps will be launched to the end of next year or next quarter? Well, the number of dApps that are being built on the Cherry network has been the same number of about 40 that we've discussed before. That I think will increase pretty soon. But given the market conditions at the moment, a lot of these projects are holding off on announcing or doing their token fundraising or launching themselves. So I can't give a firm date as to when a lot of these will come live, but I will tell you that, along the same lines of what I said earlier, we're going to actually give a clearer roadmap for a lot of these projects in the next couple of weeks when we roll out the initiative that we discussed, that Herman actually discussed, which is the ecosystem overview. So you'll find out your answers to that specific set of questions in the next couple of weeks for sure. I'm not 100% in terms of the validators. That's not really my forte or focus. I think it's something like 7. I can't remember. I'll try and get Herman to discuss the number and time frame of those validator updates in the next couple of days in the chat. And when I see him say that, or when I see him volunteer that info, then I'll tag you yourself, Real Tulip Coin, so you can get the info as soon as it comes out or close enough to it. Another question about listing on different exchanges. That's not really something we can announce. We've had this question quite a few times in the past. It's not something we can announce, nor is it something that we can rush, especially given what's going on lately with the turbulent conditions in the industry. So I can't really tell you when these things will happen, but this is something that we have someone dedicated to working on a daily basis, and it is a top priority for us. So I think I got another question. I'm just going to have to go through. One second, guys. Sorry about this. Okay, so there's another question about layer 0. We are layer 0 on testnet already. The testing of this has been going very well, thanks to you, the community, for helping us to stress test this. And it gave us some good insights and also a lot of good validation in terms of how things are going in that regard. It is ready, and I think in the next week or so, we're going to have more details about when this gets launched to mainnet. Again, this is not my forte or focus. So if you want to know about the details of the layer 0 push, we can get more info from Herman in the next couple of days. But yeah, if you want to see it in more detail and see how it will actually be working, then you can check out the testnet. You can join in as a validator, or you can on the testnet, or you can sign up and take part in the steps that were involved in the bounty as well. So I think that's all for the questions. I believe that Herman has actually been able to get involved. So maybe Herman wants to give us an update if he's not too busy.
Yes.
Hi, Herman.
Hello, Owen. Hello, everyone. I apologize for the delay. You'll be, I think, happy to know why I was delayed. I was having a very pleasant conversation with a potential partner. I mentioned a partnership with them as something we had been investigating, something that would be quite significant for our project. I think it is now coming slowly to fruition. As usual, like Owen mentioned, it's best not to give too much away about this, not to get people riled up until it's pretty much finalized. But of the various partnerships we had been working on for the past year, this is by far the most significant. It is in the music space. Cherry would act as a technology partner of this project. And I think it's very promising, both as a product standpoint to produce revenue and provide something new and interesting and useful to creators, musicians, and also other industry participants and stakeholders of the music industry, in particular enterprise, but also more specifically to us, because it would help us test our technology at such a grander scale than what we've done so far. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to tell you more about that. Owen has been very proficient in answering most of the questions. I've seen one mentioned about perhaps a greater showcase of ecosystem projects. You're right. I think we should do a bit of a job about that. I do have some thoughts about transparency, sort of to complement what we spoke about last week and the week before. I'll maybe start with a preamble with that. As everybody knows or should know by now, transparency is a essential aspect of Cherry and what Cherry aspires to be, which is a decentralized autonomous organization that exists both as a tool of empowerment and also as an organization that can stand on its own by the technology it's built. So it has this both reflective and outward goal. In pursuit of both, transparency is essential, and particularly in making the organization of Cherry stand as all of you are its stakeholders, and all of you should not just participate in the decision making, but also be as informed as possible to make the best decisions and steward the project to success. In that pursuit, maybe Owen already mentioned this, we are thinking of changing how outward communication from the core team out happens. We love the AMA format. Perhaps it is getting slightly redundant. I find myself often going on tangents that may perhaps not be as relevant, let's say, in a spoken format, but would be better in a written format. I think these opportunities of getting hundreds and hundreds of our community members involved and tuning in every week are useful, but should not be diluted by what I'm doing right now, just going on and on about something that doesn't necessarily fit into specific objectives, into actionable information for you guys. And so with your help, and Owen has been of great assistance in this, we are now thinking of changing the format slightly, perhaps varying the frequency, perhaps adding other media, not just voice, to complement these sort of information, and to keep these channels balanced so that you're not tuning in for an hour a week, sometimes with great expectations, but not much, but getting not much out of them. This week, however, is not going to be one of them. Of course, it's now been 41 minutes, but I do have some updates that you'd be interested in, I think the one of the large scale partnership that I was mentioning so far is quite significant. Others are projects you guys would want to showcase or whatever. Of course, our commitment to showcase them more in a different format. I mentioned this, and Bora has been working on a panel to navigate not necessarily all the projects in great detail, since they do contain sensitive information that don't necessarily need to be published, but to keep a general track of the progress both of the ecosystem and the team. In addition to that, I have some more specific announcements about Memento. Memento has been recurring theme for the past 4 months. I think it's mostly ready to launch. Its website is online. Its tool, I believe, is online too, and if it's not, follow it on socials to review when it will be out. Memento, just as a refresher, allows anyone to upload media of any kind and store permanently. One of the many means of storage, of data storage on Cherry, includes a permanent storage. So one that you pay once off. And in this case, Memento is footing the bill through a grant from Cherry Labs, and you enjoy Cherry storage in perpetuity. And the idea of this is that you get to store a media, and you benefit from this as a sort of memento, hence the name, an artifact, a memorialization of a memory of significance to you. So it could be a graduation, it could be a wedding, a baptism, a birth, or death. We are interested to see how you guys use it. It's very easy to use. Just get on the website, upload the image, and get an object ID that's trackable on-chain on Cherry. Currently deployed on testnet, but shortly on mainnet too. I mentioned Prosopopai some months ago. This is a partnership, or this is a product out of a partnership with a fantastic AI team. We've been collaborating for months and months. Prosopopai is one of many products that we'll be publishing with them. Again, granted or financed by Cherry Labs, and developed in coordination with Cherry Labs and this AI team. Prosopopai in particular is a project where that focuses on facial recognition and anonymization of facial data from, let's say, big data aggregators. It essentially allows you to upload images, not just of your face, but let's say your body, other identified material. It adds chaos, entropy to these images that is not perceivable by the human eye, but that disrupts the functioning of the detection system of most cutting-edge AIs. And the team has done a good job at academically proving this, comparing it with the most used models of facial recognition and stance recognition. Lastly, I want to say a month and a half ago, we had Lewis tell us about Original Factory. Original Factory is now online. The team, which is currently stands at 6 young creators and technologists, is actively working on generating art, and we are supporting them. I think there will be great synergies going forward as Cherry establishes further its NFT interface, its NFT product on-chain, and other opportunities for interaction with, for example, Cherish. I have been much on this call, but I expect Marvin to have given you a rundown of Cherish. And I personally like the direction it's headed. There are interesting updates about that. I won't bore you with it. I'm sure you have received at least a brief summary of it from Marvin. Lastly, I think Owen mentioned somebody had a question about the mainnet release. Indeed, we have been a layer 0 on testnet for over a month. A week and a half ago, we decided it was finally time for some public incentivized testing of our testnet. No issues were detected, as explained last week. Those who participated and are now pending to be rewarded will receive rewards over the next few days. We haven't processed that yet, but expect your well-earned rewards soon. No issues have arisen. We do not believe there will be any further delay in the layer 0 upgrade. 2 weeks ago, exactly, our core developers came and stated very plainly that the release was going to be in 3 weeks from then. So that gives us 1 week. I'm optimistic. I think that we will most likely be releasing the layer 0 upgrade by Friday next week. That's it. We'll try and keep it more succinct going on forward. But overall, I'm very happy with the state of the community. I'm very happy with the state of the project. We are very deep in build phase, where many projects are folding now. We are now able to leverage the conscientious efforts we've maintained throughout the past year of maintaining good treasury systems, good funding mechanisms, so that we can now double down on our core mission, develop Cherry, its ecosystem, endure any market for any length of time, and come out when it inevitably a new bull run will rise, stronger, better, and certainly more competitive than those who were either drowned out and during the bear market, or who decided to sit on their laurels and ride the bear market by reducing spending, interrupting building, and not being as proactive as we are in pursuit of success. With that, thank you. I don't know if Owen has a one of those things going on. I'll give the words to him.
Thank you very much, Herman. That was fantastic, and I think the community will be glad to hear some of the more substantive details that you're able to share with us. Because while I was able to preview some of them, I wasn't able to give some of those interesting details that Herman has given. So that's fantastic, and that answers some of the questions that I said would be answered at a later date. So that's good to hear as well. We didn't actually get our chance to speak to Marvin yet, because I was droning on for a bit too long about some of the things that are happening in Cherry Labs. So I might just cut to the chase and hand you over to Marvin now, and he'll give us an update. And then thereafter, we'll say goodbye while John does the quiz. So thank you very much, guys. Marvin, do you want to jump in there, please?
Sure thing. I'll keep it short, sweet, and snappy. Everything's going really well at Cherish. We've been working on Cherry for a very long time, on a very sustainable way. So right now we're still building up momentum towards our launch, being very sustainable with our efforts when it comes to marketing, and it's paid off when we compare competing projects, we've really held a nice pace, a nice rhythm, and we're really pushing forward to launching the product finally. So development is speeding ahead. We're doing a lot of testing, and work on the front end is being done mostly, but this is progressing quite nicely. If you guys paid attention to the Telegram channels and there's an ambulance coming by. If you paid attention to the Telegram channels and or Twitter, you'll see that we uploaded a new Cherish video explaining in about a minute what Cherish does differently from other platforms and how creators can benefit from using Cherish. Then today, around noon our time, we released another Cherish update, which covers the feature set that will be included in Cherish. So all the things you can do, how to monetize your content as a creator, and how to make your business work and maybe live off your art, which is for a lot of creators a dream that is not achievable on other platforms right now, but will most definitely be achievable on Cherish. And then finally, in the backgrounds, I'm working on a creator interview initiative where we start picking the minds of some of the creators who have already onboarded on Cherish and ask them what changes they would like to see when the platform goes live. I think that's about all there is for Cherish. I could go on about a lot more, but it's been about 50 minutes, so I won't keep you guys too long. And I will hand it over to Owen and or John. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Marv, and cheers for that succinct and brief update. Very cool to hear some of the stuff that's going on with Cherish, and it really is onwards and upwards for that ecosystem project, and we're really looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with in the next few weeks in the run-up to launch. With that being said, I'm going to have a very quick look to see if there's been any more pertinent questions. I don't think so. No, I haven't seen any more questions in the meantime since my last round of answers. So what I'll do is I'll hand you over to John, and John will give quite an interesting quiz. I had a look over the questions there, and then everybody is paid up, I think, with the exception of one person who got on to me today, who is still owed a prize from a couple of weeks ago. Everybody else is paid up, all the other prize winners. So once the winners are announced tomorrow, I'll try and get to the prizes in the next few days. So if you win today, expect your prizes in the next few days. With that being said, we need to actually have the quiz first. So John is going to take over the chat. I'm going to wish you well and wish you the best of luck in the quiz. And we'll be speaking with you guys, of course, as always, throughout the evening and tomorrow, etc. In the Telegram chat itself. Thanks very much, guys, and have a very nice evening.